Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the long-awaited video for the AMX 50B tech tree.
I didn't think it was true. I was surprised when I found out I'd fallen for you.
The AMX 50B can be found in the French heavy tank line, and it is special for having to require the least amount of experience points to research a tier 10 in the entire game, from tier 5 to tier 10. And it consists of the ARL-44, the M445, the 5100, the 5120, and finally the godfather of all autoloaders,
Le 50B au chocolat.
And this is a perfect segue on moving on to our first tank in the tree, the ARL-44. Now, the ARL-44 is a great tank. It's suited for players who like a more mobile heavy tank at tier 6, and the gun is one of the best in this tier. It has absolute monster penetration. It can go through anything at its tier, and it can handle heavily armored targets at the tier above. And as you can see here, there's a Hellcat. We have no problem penetrating when fighting in Yamato Harbor. And I noticed that there's more tanks on the right flank where I'm in. Right now I'm in the left flank, so I decided to push. And I was kind of afraid of any other enemy tanks, but it's not really a big deal, because if you look at the team composition, that there is a tier 5 heavy tank, and against a tier 5 ARL is a very strong and formidable target, and it's really easy to deal with these people. And I was playing Ring Around the Rosies around one of the Yamato's turrets, but then I just gave up and decided to go kill the Hellcat first, because it had more potential damage on it. And because I ignore the T1 heavy, it was able to obtain a couple of shots on me. And so here, now we finished out the Hellcat, and now it's just a T1 heavy left, and he's gonna die. Fast forward, I go behind this tank destroyer that's focused on these not heavy tanks, medium tanks, and finish him off, and that is a swift end to a battle. So you see now the strengths of the ARL-44, its effectiveness in brawling with a heavy tank such as the T1 heavy. It really has close to no chance, and it has the HP to soak up over 1,000. It's pretty good. And next we're in Port Bay, and this is actually a pretty entertaining battle. And this time we are faced against tier 6s only, and this is gonna be a pretty fun one. I go to the generic position in this map with where the heavy tanks should go, in my opinion. And let's talk about more about the ARL-44. You should not rely on the armor too much, though it can bounce some shells off the hull and sometimes the turret, but the turret is extremely weak in terms of armor and can be high explosive penetrated and the side by most high caliber weapons, such as the one on the KV2 and the SC-152. They can one-shot you, so you should watch out there. The VK here gets away with a track crit, no damage. I decided to go up this hill, the IS-2, yeah, and by doing this I can distract the enemies, such as the VK-36 here, and he has his side towards the IS-2, I don't know why, but then I take a shot as well, and this distracts the heavy tanks. It splits them, and we made like this pronged attack to finish him off. It's a great job to the team here. It absolutely wiped everyone out in just like 1 minute. It didn't even take that long. And this medium tank is left, And you can really rely on the ARL-44 to chase medium tanks because it's up there in terms of speed numbers. And it can definitely go up to 35, 40 easily. And so you should take engine boost if you can, but if you don't like that, if you want more reload in case of an emergency, then you can definitely take adrenaline. That's it for the ARL-44. Next is the AMX M445. It is a great tank. It's not as good as the ARL-44 because it's a little bit more sluggish. I'm kind of a mobile player, and this is definitely a step down in terms of mobility. But the gun is still fantastic. It's a 90mm, just like the ARL-44s. There's great penetration. There's no problem dealing with tier 8s. But not so much the more heavily armored tanks that are in tier 8, such as the Object 252U. Definitely has problem dealing with that. And we are in Alpenstadt. We're going to the center. We're about to see a Nashorn about to get one shot by a KV2 here. As you can see, there's a KV2. Gets boom, he's dead. 1000 HP gun. There was a mistake by him, but it's alright. And everyone goes wild in chat. I take a first shot in the Hellcat here. The one big mistake you should do in this tank is rely on the armor. The armor is not reliable at all. So if you want to bait someone's shot, then I suggest that you peek a little bit of your front plate angled at an extremely angled position towards the enemy. And well, to my dismay, I get high explosive by the SU-152, take a little bit of damage there. It's not too great, but anyway, this is what the situation looks in my flank. The Black Punch is being pushed by this IS. I noticed that, so I try to turn and help him. So here I turn and I try to help the Black Prince by shooting the IS, but I bounce. So there's these other tanks that actually won the medium flank pretty quick. This is something you shouldn't do in AMX 445. Not necessarily go medium flank, not go heavy flank, sorry, but go medium flank, because sometimes it just does better in the medium flank because it definitely does have the straight line speed. But then if you're in a situation like this where I'm being completely wrecked by this bulldog here, then yeah, you're basically over, and I completely juke that Hellcat shot. Off to the next battle. This is another... I tried playing more aggressive this time. Well, you might think I was playing aggressive in the other one, but I was incredibly passive. I wasn't trying to bait any shots. I wasn't out there trying to soak up damage. I just sat behind a wall and just peeked out every time they looked away. And this is a little bit more an aggressive playstyle. No, this time the heavy tanks were spotted in the middle of the map. Actually, you see the KV2 and the SU-100 there. I'm over at the ship, and the KV-1S as well. And there's another SU-100 actually. So I peek out here and take a couple of shots. Me and the IS-2 Pravda here, laying down some carnage. Well, I wouldn't say carnage. We haven't barely done anything. And this is the same thing that happened last time. I got high explosive, but this time I was a KV2 and it kind of hurts. And this is also another mistake I made here. I peeked out despite this SU-100 looking at me, and I knew that, but yeah, I peeked out thinking I could bait a shot, but then that was my mistake. The SU-100 tries to escape, but me and the Pravda actually got 2 shots onto him and he died. He's great first knockout. It's a big gun out of the game. The KV2 is also almost dead, also knocked out from the game. It's great. The SU-100, I was still completely oblivious to the tank that was to my left and behind me, which was the AT-8. As you can see there, just hiding in the corner. I was completely unaware. This is also kind of another mistake I made. Fast forwarding to the back, this is a good thing. You can flank pretty easily in this thing. If you're against a slow target like this, even heavy tanks, you can almost always outmaneuver them. And if you are a good driver, then you can pull off some amazing maneuvers on your enemy and just totally wipe them out. And now we notice that our teammates on the right flank are a little bit in trouble, so I go and take a shot. I actually was aiming for the KV-1S there, but then the Tiger 1 decides to drive, and my shot happened to hit him. It was pretty nice. It was great. And 2 tanks left on enemy team, now 1. The AMX 4 is pretty good against mediums. You should definitely try fighting mediums in this thing. It's kind of fun, face hugging. I was overly confident in this. This is another mistake. You should not do this if you're lower health than a medium tank, especially if it's a medium tank that has a big gun, a large gun. Then you should not really mess with it. Moving on to the AMX 5100. And now the AMX 5100, this is the first auto-loading heavy tank that you get in this tree. It is pretty damn special for what it has to offer. It used to have 4 shots of 100mm AP shells, which was overpowered at the tier, to say the least. Kind of glad it got nerfed, or else it would have, but it still is really, really strong as a tier 8 heavy tank. The penetration is very effective. It also has the good mobility that the French heavy tanks have retained for these past 2 tiers. I get this beautiful one shot off on this Dracula in the middle position, and then there's this Centurion that picked me off, a couple of shots. I ended up taking 400 damage, but it wasn't really a big deal. And yeah, the armor of this thing is weaker compared to the AMX M445, so you should definitely not go frontline. Go second line combat. The IS Suicide I found is very alone, so I decide to go and help the Tiger. So I come up and I just don't hesitate to go up there and dump a magazine, and I don't mind trading for it. But I missed the first shot. There's a little foreshadowing on the crushed tanker there, that there's a tank that's coming to my position there, and it's going to be revealed as an IS-5. I completely forgot that they were coming here. They were spotted before, and this was a mistake on me. I ended up taking a heap amount of damage there, and I'm left with not a very great amount of health. I'm lucky that the IS-5 actually missed that shot. I would have died otherwise. I noticed the Dracula coming, so I dump another magazine into this guy. This is great. I finish him off with a clip. He will not get away. Nice. And yeah, this is also another good thing. The burst damage is great. You can do 900 to 1,000 damage easily. And if you see a tank that's around that, around that health pool, then you can definitely, go rush in if you have enough health points, that is, and just finish him off quickly with an interquip reload of around 3 seconds. It's great. There is a very similar tank to this, except it trades 3 seconds of clip reload for more armor. It's called the Soma SM. To be honest, the Soma SM has a little bit less mobility than this thing, but it definitely has very similar characteristics. I prefer the AMX 5100 just because it's more mobile and it has a shorter reload. It definitely is better suited for a more mobile playstyle than the Soma SM. The Soma SM is more for brawlers. Brawlers are very good. There's an IS-8 that just spawned here. and is trying to get to the teammates. I wait up here to ambush. Of course, the effective gun of this thing just absolutely goes through the armor with no problem whatsoever. Of course, it is the side armor, but still, the penetration values on this gun is pretty good. You should definitely use that to your advantage, and it's also pretty accurate. So, you know, in equipment, you should focus on more aim time so that you can recover from after you shoot a enemy. You know, your aiming circle kind of resets a little bit, so it has to aim again. So you definitely want to fix that first instead of better dispersion values. And we notice a bunch of tanks that are in the back there, especially that tank destroyer. I try going for this T92. I'm incredibly lucky that it didn't have the 152. It actually had the 105, and I got a good track hit from that. And I reload my clip to, you know, this is also something that, you know, you get trained for in tiers 8 to 10, because you can, you know, better determine when to reload. And because I reloaded, I'm able to get 3 shots on this Object 704, which was completely oblivious to my position. And that's a good 900 damage, and that's over half his health, and he's hurting, he's retreating. And here I see that my friendlies are capturing the base, and there's a IS-3 and a AMX 5100 that's actually heading to the position. So I go and help, respectively. So my clip is reloaded again. I noticed the AMX 5100 is within my clip damage output, so I go in and quickly finish him off before the IS-3 even gets a chance to shoot at me. Of course he does get to shoot at me, and here I'm about to get a nasty 900 damage to the back because the Object 704 here took some revenge. It was a great shot by the object, and thankfully my friendlies finish off the IS-3 before he was able to finish me off. Now my clip is reloaded. I go to the T92 to try to finish him off, to help this friendly T92, and that goes well. I don't reload my clip here because I noticed that I can finish this Object 704 with 2 clips, and just in case one doesn't penetrate, I have one just ready to go. See, and this is exactly why you should always have at least 2 in your clip, because if you fail to penetrate the first one, you don't really have another chance, you know, against low HP targets like this. So if I had 1 shell, you know, I wouldn't have taken the shot. Now for the AMX 5120. Now this is a considerable upgrade from the previous tier. It's an even better gun. It has, you know, it does retain the mobility. Some say it's even better. I agree with that. And look how fast it goes up this hill. I mean, it can really stick with mediums in a medium flank. So I recommend taking this in a medium flank. There's a T-54 that got spotted there, as you can see on the right, and took some damage in the first engagement. And, you know, me and the 5120 cruising to the medium flank to try to get a shot on these medium tanks. And this completely will wreck any medium tank, because a clip would generate around 1,200 damage if you are lucky. And yeah, the Centurion here got completely destroyed by me. And on the heavy flank here, there's a lone friendly E75 that got spotted by a Kampfpanzer, and soon we will see that there's going to be a whole bunch of enemy heavy tanks and tank destroyers that are going to be on that flank. And since there are no heavy tanks spotted here, you know, I assumed that they were going to be down there, and I was right. As you can see, the E75 is about to be completely fucked by all these enemy tanks here, because he's alone. Too bad for him, that was his mistake. And, you know, we decide to rush these medium tanks. So it's a swift knockout to these tanks. The T-54 kind of gets away, but then he will get destroyed at the foot of this hill here. The E75 meets her end soon after we destroy this T-54. Great shot by the person who destroyed him, the Progetto. And now, the E75 has died, and now proceeds to defend this town from us. And this is where the 50B kind of gets its shining, if, how do you say it, the spotlight, this, the light under sun. Yes, the island, whatever. And there's a lot of people within our clipping range, and using the strength to our advantage, we get to very good shots on this Waffenträger here, ending up taking around like a good 900 damage with 2 HE shots. Yeah, if you have a AMX 5120 up against lightly armored targets, then those lightly armored targets will be shredded. And obviously here we just completely finish these two last guys off. Great battle. On to the next one is in Alpenstadt against tier 10s, actually. It's something to behold. Tier 10 tanks against tier 9, it's a little bit tricky. But the gun that this thing has, again, the entire text tree here has top guns that you can research, that have absolutely no problem whatsoever dealing with the higher tier. And here I was assuming that someone would come up to this base cap, so yeah, they did. I tried peeking out here. I was kind of afraid because these are tier 10 tanks we're talking about taking damage. I didn't take damage, but I was able to spot a medium tank, and it's kind of unusual that we would find a medium tank here. So this kind of allows us to push up, allows the medium tanks from our flank to push up. The FE4005 gets completely wrecked here. He eats 2 of my shells, and gets eaten up by the other medium tanks here. The T-62A that rushed this Sheridan here took a shot from me, and I proceed into the mag reload. And the T-62A successfully kills this Sheridan here and proceeds to almost kill the WZ, which is not really good. That T-62 got really lucky there. I finish off the ISA first, and I proceed to shoot the Hori because it has first of all, it's the only target there, and I would have shot it over the Chieftain Mark 6 simply because it has a more dangerous presence to it. It would definitely do a lot more damage if it was alive just that little bit much longer. And as you can see, the Yag Tiger and the Grill 15 are having a little bit of trouble here. The Grill 15 gets behind this building and survives. I didn't notice that the Hori was looking at me, and I thought I was able to push up without taking damage to finish off this Chieftain Mark 6 potentially, but I wasn't able to finish him off. But instead, the friendly Grill actually could finish it for me. It was great play by the Grill. Good trade, and I proceeded into another mag reload. This is looking pretty good for my teammates here because the Hori is getting distracted by the SDB1, and there's an ML that's focused on the Grill. Enough for me to finish my reload. I put 2 into this ML to finish him off. This is great. The Hori unfortunately kills our Grill, and I proceed into a mag reload because I know that I can't finish the Hori in one shot. So, and I have plenty of time to think. I pretend to go right side, but then I turn around at the last minute because I know that I reset my camo. And the Hori here, he was completely expecting me to appear where I was going to go, but then he was completely fooled by that. Good game though. The Hori is a good player. Yeah, this is definitely one of the strengths. If you maneuver like what I did there in a 1v1 situation, you can definitely pull off some great damage numbers. Off to the 50B. Now the 50B the last tank in the tech tree is definitely a reward that's worth getting, and it comes with this absolutely fantastic veteran legendary camouflage, and it changes the name respectively as well as the appearance. And here we see immediately, well, my brother right there, the 5120. I try to get a shot. Of course I miss by just a little bit. I'm still afraid to peek out, however, because I'm anticipating some sort of tank destroyer behind there. And I trade some shots to 5120. It wasn't really a good idea, it wasn't really worth it, but I got it anyway. I'm proceeding to the mag reload. The 50B has much better armor profile than the 5120. The hull is actually really good, and if you use it right, so as you can see, I'm peeking out like this. If you use the hull like that, then you can bait some shots out definitely. I don't know why they didn't try to shoot me, but after I peeked out, there's a bunch of lead raining down on me, and this is a huge mistake. I should have let the IS-4 push out first, and then I would have gone. But then, I'm left with only a sliver of health left. So I decide to reposition. I noticed that the Yo is actually in the middle, so, he can support me whenever I need it. So I decide to go to the middle and, draw out some fire from there. And there's quite substantial soft cover here, so in the form of a bush. The E50 gets destroyed by the IS-4 that's pushing on that flank. A very good play by the IS-4. And then there's a T-30 as well, who's not paying attention to me, so I decide to take one shot at him as revenge. And it was a great ammo rack crit as well. He aims at me. I'm surprised he didn't really shoot. And there's also a Hori too there. He just shot, so I know that I'm okay to engage him. And I reverse to get another shot. He gets completely destroyed here. He explodes. Great. And by this you'll have played at least 1,000 battles. But if you're good, you maybe less. But at this point, the AMX 5100 and the 5120 should have taught you how to play this tank. And the clip is a great thing to have, because the clip allows you to engage either one target to finish it off. If determining that is an extremely important thing in tanks like this. So let's say there's a tank that has a 900 health left, and you're an AMX 5100. Oh, I can finish it off because an average damage of 300 would amount to 900, and you could finish that guy off in just like that, and he would die. Or you can engage multiple targets. Oh, that guy is 300 health. Oh, that guy's 100 health. I could shoot him first and the other guy after that. And if I miss, I can always try another time. But the autoloader is very important in situations like that. This is kind of a YOLO game for me. I was able to get to this position without being spotted. Surprisingly, you would think that there would be some tank destroyers that would be sitting back there. There's 6 people there, so that means there's one tank destroyer that is not spotted. And I just eventually decide to push using the speed that this thing has. This is also something you should definitely exploit. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is that all these tanks in the tech tree, I take protective kit in, because they're not remotely as armored as the other counterparts that this thing fights. I ended up taking a couple of shots from the AMX 50B, but I was able to destroy Vickers Light, and after this I was able to clip out a T110E3, which was vital. They are vital components in the enemy team that were holding the mountain line. And by destroying this T110E3 And I decided to shoot the Mark 6 because it had its back towards me, and my HE could potentially destroy him. But 555 is still a good roll, but I die in the process. But this gave my teammates enough time, the mouse and the MV, to get through and destroy these tanks swiftly. And the E50M that was with me was capturing the base, so it was distracting all the 50B and the T62A that destroyed me to go and fight them. And they were getting shot all around the place. And that was the battle there. So please use these videos as a reference to how to play this tank and the respective tanks in the tank tree, and learning how to play an autoloader in this game is a very useful skill. And you know, if you are able to play this, then you're able to play tanks like the TVP 5051, the T57, and many more tanks that have an autoloader, and you can really do some serious damage to enemy tanks, such as perma-tracking, so they won't be able to repair their track, and you know, eventually get completely destroyed by teammates. And yeah, overall I would say that this tech tree is very good for support players and players who kind of like a mobile playstyle, as well as, you know, people who like high penetration guns, especially, you know, when it comes to the ARL-44 and the AMX 5100. These really do shine, they do stand out in this kind of form. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave suggestions on what you want me to work on next, and I will see you next time.